Okay, guys, so today's morning update has a surprise. I'm going to show you guys how to make a Mexican quick recipe called entomatadas, which is basically handmade tortillas, and you bathe them in a tomato sauce that's fried, and they're really good and they're really easy to make, and it's a great breakfast or brunch. Um, I woke up kind of not feeling too good. I woke up pretty early to go do some early recording, and that didn't work out. So I'm just now getting together. I've been kind of sick, but I'm gonna go film here as soon as these are done. But so check it out. This is how you make entomatadas. So the first thing you do is you boil your tomatoes. That's it. You just boil them until they're fully cooked, and you'll see how the skin starts to rip apart. And this is step one to make your entomatadas. Okay, so now you're gonna want to use a vegetable-based oil, whatever your preference is. We still use corn oil for real basic stuff. We don't get too much into the healthy stuff. I do use olive oil and avocado oil for other stuff, but just for Mexican food that's gonna be greasy anyhow, I use corn oil. So you want to start heating your oil right before you blend your tomatoes. That way your oil needs to be hot and ready when you throw those in. Okay, so the next step is you scoop out your tomatoes with a large spoon. Whole tomatoes, you don't have to peel them or cut them or anything. Well, depending on your blender. I got a pretty good blender. So you just put them in your blender and you get ready to blend them up. Okay, so that's our tomatoes. They were there for about 45 seconds, so now they're fully liquefied. So now we're going to the next step. Okay, so the next step is you have your hot oil, and now you're gonna want to pour them through a colander. Oh, look at that sizzle. So the reason you're pouring it is you don't want any seeds or any thick stuff. And also, you want it to be kind of thick. So if it's too thick, you're gonna want to add a little water. But if it's not thick enough, your sauce is gonna be kind of runny, and you don't want that because it's gonna tear up your whole dish. So now we've got that in the hot oil, and we're gonna get ready to cook it. So basically now all we're waiting for is for it to boil with that oil that was there. Once it starts boiling, we'll go to the next step. Okay, so these are our handmade tortillas. These are preferably the ones you're gonna want to use for this dish. If you don't have any available to you, you can use regular tortillas. The problem with the regular tortillas, you have to be really quick when cooking them or they will fall apart. For some reason, these hand ones that are a little bit bigger and fluffier last longer. And this is our cheese we're going to be using. This is fresh cow cheese, so it's actually kind of juicy. It's similar to fresh goat cheese, so you might be able to replace it with that if you don't have this available. If not, my wife said you can use any shredded cheese of your choice as long as you're happy with that cheese. So I'm gonna go see if that's done boiling. Okay, so I've just been told by my wife, if you cannot get the handmade tortillas, you can grab the regular size tortillas and just lightly fry them. You don't want to make them a full crisp like tortilla chip. You just want to lightly fry them, and they'll last longer in the sauce to replace the handmade ones. So if you can only get the regular corn tortillas that are made by the machine at your local store, you can slightly fry it, and that'll make it last a little longer and it won't fall apart on you. So our sauce is starting to boil, and we added a little salt. So just add whatever you think you would enjoy. You don't want to make it too salty, but you don't want it to be too sweet from the tomatoes. It depends what kind of tomato you use. Some tomatoes are sweeter than others, and some are more bitter. So just, kind of work with whatever you think your taste buds are going to enjoy. So our sauce is coming to a nice boil. We're going to let it get a little thick. Ours was a little watery, so we'll let it reduce a little. You can actually add chicken, beef that's already cooked. Obviously you don't want to cook it in this sauce, you want to add it already cooked, or fried eggs to this sauce, because what you're going to do is later you're going to bathe the tortillas in this sauce. Or we're going to do it like the purest way, which is basically just a tomato and then add the cheese. But you can add any of these proteins to it if you want to make it a higher protein breakfast or brunch. Okay, so now we're gonna put our tortilla in our cooked sauce. So you grab your tortilla, you put it in there, you let it bathe in the sauce. It's gonna suck all that juice in. That's why you need to use these tortillas, because they're thicker and they will not fall apart in your sauce. Or like I said, you can lightly fry regular ones to substitute, but it's better to use handmade ones. So we're just going to let that tortilla sit in there. Alright, so now it's served on the plate. So this one kind of came apart on us, and that's considering that it's a thicker one, so that's why it's really important to try to get a thicker tortilla. That's usually the handmade ones, because the other ones will just crumble apart like cereal in your sauce. Okay, now we're going to dress your tortilla with some cheese, and sometimes you can add some sliced onion rings uncooked. That adds a lot of flavor. You just cut them in hoops and add them on top, and that's basically it. We only made one for the video because this is actually something we're going to eat later. But basically you would put like 2 or 3 of these on a plate and serve it to someone. This is very delicious, very filling. And if you want to add a little spice to it, when you boil the tomatoes, you can add some peppers and cook them in there and then add them to the blender as well, so your sauce is kind of spicy. We didn't do that because we have children and they don't like to eat spicy yet, so we haven't kind of pushed it on them. So we're going to make them like that, and then we just add a little sauce ourselves later. That's also something you can do for guests. Just add the sauce to the side so they can add it to it if they want to. Okay, so that was it for our dish. This is actually a very popular breakfast or brunch in Mexico. And you can do the same thing with beans. So basically you would use beans instead of tomato and put your tortillas in it. It's pretty good actually. I like it with eggs and the sliced onion rings, fresh onion rings. Not too many or it'll overpower the dish. So basically I'll leave this video up a little longer. Instead of releasing it the next day, I'll leave it on for a few days so you guys can write down the recipe. I'm gonna head out and try to do some filming, and I'll try to update you guys on the hotel video. It didn't go well, but not for any bad reasons. They were just very private, so I can't blame them. So I'll make my video and put it out later. So you guys have a great day.